Hey guys, I'm back, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a movie review on Spider-Man No Way Home. This is the 27th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the 11th Spider-Man movie, and the third and final of the Spider-Man trilogy inside of the MCU that stars Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Released this year in 2021, it stars Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Benedict Cumberbatch, and the plot of this movie is, of course, Spider-Man's identity has now been revealed to the world with the post-credit scene of Spider-Man Far From Home, with Mysterio outing Peter Parker as Spider-Man, and that results in Peter Parker's life being turned completely upside down. So Peter goes to Doctor Strange for help and asks him to do a spell which will reverse all of this and make everyone forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but he accidentally messes up the spell, which tampers with the stability of the multiverse and makes the stakes even more dangerous. I'm going to try my best to make the least biased review I can, because this movie has lots of Spider-Man fan service, and I am a massive Spider-Man movie fan, so I'm going to try and make the least biased review that I possibly can do. Additionally, this will be a spoiler-free review, so there's not going to be any spoilers discussed in this review, except for stuff that has been shown in the trailers, so appearances of villains and stuff. I won't go any further with any of that type of stuff, aside from what has already been shown in trailers or revealed images. But I will definitely make a spoiler review of this film somewhere later down the line. I don't know when that's going to be, probably once the film has been out for longer, and once it has had its US release, because it's released earlier here in the UK than in the US, so I will make a spoiler review at some point, definitely. So now let's start talking about the positives of the film. And one of the most impressive things, if not the most impressive thing about this movie, is how it never feels overstuffed or it never feels messy, despite everything it's trying to do and just how ambitious it is. Like the last times they tried to have multiple villains in a Spider-Man movie, those two were considered, they are considered to be the worst Spider-Man movies that have ever been made. Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, when they were, tampered with by the studios. But this movie has a 2.5-hour runtime, and it gives the film plenty of time to do everything that it's trying to do. The narrative never feels unfocused despite everything that is going on in the film. And of course, this movie is packed to the brim with content for Spider-Man fans. It is an absolute crowd pleaser. Other than having just the main villains, like, from the previous Spider-Man movies appear in this film, from, like, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies and the Mark Webb Amazing Spider-Man films, aside from those villains appearing in the film, it's got loads of little, like, sort of Easter eggs and little moments that are, are sort of throwbacks and callbacks to, previous Spider-Man movies. And all of it is just great. As a massive Spider-Man movie fan, all of this I completely loved, and there are loads of little Easter eggs in the film which will probably fly over a lot of non-Spider-Man fans' heads. But I absolutely loved everything they did here. There's a lot of fan service in the movie, but it is the best type of fan service. Similar to what Ghostbusters Afterlife did, it never relies on any nostalgia or fan service at all to get it through its runtime. It is using it to entertain, and my god, it is so entertaining with everything this movie does. But on top of all of that, you just have to admire how well these movies are made. Like, everything from the action to the cinematography to the performances to the visuals, all of it is great. The story in the movie is extremely well done. The movie is always entertaining. It never feels like it's 2.5 hours long. For the most part, the movie flies by. And the action sequences in the movie are incredibly well done. The sequence in which, the Spider-Man versus Dr. Octopus battle sequence on the bridge in the film, which, again, not a spoiler, you saw it in the trailers, that was such a well done scene, from the way it was shot to the visuals. All of it is so great. It was such a well done scene, and it genuinely made me feel like I was watching an action scene from like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 or something. It felt like an action scene from a classic Spider-Man movie. There is not a single bad action scene in the film. All of them are great. Additionally, all of the performances in the film are very good, particularly Tom Holland as Peter Parker, Spider-Man. He does a really great job in the film. And particularly in the second half of the movie, where the film gets a bit darker and a bit more of an emotional Spider-Man movie, there is a lot of great character exploration with the character of Spider-Man. So overall, I just think this movie was really well done. It looks great, the visuals are amazing. It kind of feels like a live-action version of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which isn't surprising considering the fact that the movie's plot revolves around the multiverse. But the movie has a couple of flaws, so let's talk about the negatives. I want it to be made clear, though, I absolutely loved this film. I really don't dislike it in any way, but I think the movie kind of occasionally feel a little bit tonally inconsistent with itself. The tone is a little bit all over the place at times, because in the sort of second half of the movie, the film gets rather dark and emotional for a Spider-Man movie, and the tone gets a little bit messy there, because once it does get a lot darker, there are still a lot of humorous moments and, you know, sort of fun moments that's consistent with the previous movies of this Spider-Man trilogy. And I feel like the movie was trying to be darker than it was. And, you know, I never really trusted an MCU Spider-Man movie to balance being dark and being, you know, humorous and funny and fun. But for the most part, it is both of those things, and it does it quite well, but it is, you know, still kind of tonally inconsistent in places, but it's really not too bad at all. Additionally, I feel like the movie's pacing was a little bit inconsistent. Like, the first act was really quite deft. It was a very fast first act, and the second act felt, like, around that time felt a little bit slower, but then it, you know, sped up again and became very entertaining again in the third act. Additionally, I didn't really like the movie's ending that much. I'm not going to talk about it. This is a spoiler-free review, and I will talk about the ending once a spoiler review comes out. But honestly, I thought it was kind of a smart choice what they did with the ending in terms of the movie's writing. And it made sense in the context of the film, but it didn't really mean I liked it that much. And it's probably going to be quite a divisive ending for fans of this Spider-Man trilogy. And a couple final notes of the film. This movie, of course, like with every Marvel movie nowadays, has two post-credit scenes. It has a mid-credit scene and then a post-credit scene. The mid-credit scene is, in my opinion, an alright sequence, I guess. But the post-credit scene is an absolute must-see. It is a can't-miss post-credit scene. So overall, as a Spider-Man fan, I absolutely loved Spider-Man No Way Home. You're going to get the most out of it if you are a massive Spider-Man movie fan like I am. And, but it's still just a really great, entertaining superhero movie for anyone who isn't a, you know, diehard Spider-Man fan, or who just wants to see an entertaining superhero movie. You'll get the highest level of enjoyment if you've seen some of the previous Spider-Man movies, but this is also just a very, very well-made superhero movie at the same time. And it also has lots of fun surprises for Spider-Man fans, and I truly cannot wait for more and more audiences to see this film, because it is going to be great. Overall, I'm stuck between giving this movie a 9 out of 10 or a 9.5 out of 10, but for now, I think I'm going with a 9.5 out of 10. Overall, it is a superhero cinematic event from this whole multiverse thing that it's doing alone. I was so lucky to see it opening day yesterday in a packed cinema full of people. I had an absolute blast with it. That is my review of Spider-Man No Way Home. If you are a fan, do make sure you see this film as soon as possible and avoid spoilers at all costs. Thank you very much for watching this review. If you did enjoy, please do remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you want to. And until next time, bye-bye.